Hello, YouTube. We are back again with another Lord of the Rings guide. Only this time, we are looking at something a little bit more unique, which is the Fellowship Maneuvers. This was a request from the comments on a previous video, and I thought it was a great idea for a video. The Fellowship Maneuvers, I feel like, are very unique to Lord of the Rings online, as there's not been an MMO I've played where there's something similar to this. So I think it's really cool. But yeah, so what are the Fellowship Maneuvers? They're also called FMs. Old time players will call them conjunctions or CJs. They all mean the Fellowship Maneuvers. So what are they? Well, they're the four colors that pop up when a certain party member uses a skill, or a party member. Everyone technically has a random chance to what's called break the defenses of the enemy, and that will cause a Fellowship Maneuver or the color wheel to pop up. Red does a big chunk of damage, and with certain amounts of red, eventually becomes an AoE. Yellow is a single target damaging dot ability. Green is a heal, and a heal over time, so it gives you a burst heal and a heal over time. Blue gives you power. When you complete a Fellowship Maneuver that isn't necessarily a combo, so just as a quick example, red, yellow, green, blue is not a combo. So in that scenario, what would happen is the player who hit red would do burst damage based on their main hand weapon. The person who hit yellow would apply a dot that's based on their main hand weapon. The person who hit green would gain a self heal and a self dot, and then the person who hit blue would regain power. But when you do something like green, 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 everyone in the Fellowship will gain a heal, a burst heal, and a dot. If you did 3 blues, everyone in the party would gain power. And then if multiple people did a chain of red or yellows, it basically just combines the damage into like a massive hit or a massive dot. But if you're not doing a combo correctly, then it's just one singular thing that applies to only you as the individual player. So that's what Fellowship Maneuvers are. The classes that can technically trigger them on demand would be, I think, blue lore masters can, or I guess maybe any lore master can with their bog lurker. You don't technically have to be blue line, I don't think, but blue line makes it easier. Burglars are really good for it. Mariners can when they're in yellow line, and then guardians are also a consistent way to get fellowship maneuvers out. And they're more frequent because I think their skill's only 45 seconds, where burglars are 2 minutes. They have the other skill that's like a chance thing, but guardians are consistent and frequent. So that's how you trigger them, aside from the off random chance that can happen. But yeah, so let's talk about the different types of Fellowship Maneuvers. So there's the flushes. Right, so flushes are the red or red. You could, or 4-length flushes, yellow, and it's for all the different colors. They're the same color up to 4 times. If you do 6 yellows, you technically aren't getting any additional effect or bonus effect if it was just 4 yellows. 6 yellows still does more damage than 4 yellows. It's just the burst, or like the massive bleed that comes from 4 yellows isn't any bigger in 6 yellows. All that happens is there's a big bleed for 4 yellows, and then the remaining 2 yellows would be a tiny bleed from each individual player. It's not as strong and it won't last as long. And the same thing goes for like if you did all greens, right? So 4 greens is the same bonus healing as 6 greens. It's just in 6 greens, those last 2 players would gain a small heal in addition to the burst heal that the entire group is getting from the 4 greens, right? So that's how flushes work. Then there's the straights. Straights requires a minimum of 3 players. It cannot be done with less than that. It has to be 3 or more. So there's 3 length straights, 4, 5, all the way up to 6 length straights. Now how the straights work is it's simple, and it's not a lot of people actually recognize it right away. But to determine how a straight will work is determined by the order of the color wheel, right? So up at the top is, when you look at the color wheel that appears, right? Up at the top is is red, and then to the right is green, the bottom is yellow, and then the left side is blue, right? So red, green, yellow, blue. Going counter, you create a successful combo or a successful straight by going clockwise or counterclockwise. So red, green, yellow is a successful straight, but so is red, blue, yellow. But if you went red, yellow, green, that is not a successful combo because it breaks the order of counterclockwise or clockwise. Another way to look at it is damage, support, damage. So red is a damaging one, yellow is a damaging color, but you don't want to do red and then yellow. You want a damage one and then a support color of either blue or green, and then the other damaging one. So red, blue or green, and then yellow, or yellow, blue, then green, and then red. So it doesn't matter where you start. You just have to do that alternating combo or going clockwise or counterclockwise around the color wheel. So you can start with blue and go red or yellow, finishing with green, all the way up to a 6th length straight, right? So a 6th length straight would be blue, yellow, green, red, blue, yellow, or blue, red, green, yellow, blue, red. And you can start with any color. So those are the straights. They were really good in 3-mans, where tanks would always pick the starting color. They could pick whichever color they wanted. They'd pick the starting point. Then the DPS player would pick the middle color, right? So if the tank color person picked a damage color, then the DPS would choose between blue or green, and then the healer or support or the second DPS would pick the opposite damaging color. So if it started with red, it would end with yellow. So those are the straights. After the straights, then we have the pairs or the full house combos. So pairs would be something like 2 yellows, 2 blues, and there's an not infinite amount, but there's a large amount of them. 2 reds, 2 greens, 2 reds, 2 yellows. They're mostly for 4-player parties: 2 greens, 2 reds, 2 blues, 2 greens, so on and so forth. But it does go up to 5-player or 6-player group sizes. It's just that's where they're a full house, because then it's 3 of one color and 2 of another. It can be any combo. It can be any order, as long as it's 3 colors next to each other and then two of a different color next to each other. So those are the full house ones. And when you have a 6th player, it's just 3 and 3. Then finally, there's the unique ones, which are, so there's the straights that we talked about, where you follow counterclockwise or counterclockwise for the straights. But there's the unique straights, so to speak. And these ones they're the exceptions to the rule of 3, then 2, of all the same color, of the following clockwise or counterclockwise, damage support color. They're exceptions and they're really fun. So this one, Break the Door, is a really popular one. As it was a large bunch of damage. It's 5 reds and then a yellow. Whole bunch of damage. Great damage. Another fan favorite is especially those from the old days will remember Hew the Stone. Hew the Stone is very unique in that it looks simple. It's just reds and then a blue at the end. But Hew the Stone summons an Oathbreaker. Your fellows hew into your foe like masons on stone, energizing each other and drawing forth an Oathbreaker shade to fight for you. Some of the straights, like the 6-length straights, do this. Dawn of the Deep, for example, where it starts with yellow and ends with blue. It gives you 2 Oathbreakers, but the straights can sometimes be hard to coordinate. You don't have a lot of time to pull them off. Someone is lagging a little bit, and that throws people off. So there's all kind of things that can kind of ruin it. But so that's why Hew the Stone was always really fun, because everyone could go red, and then you just make the healer go blue at the end, and boom, whole bunch of damage, and then you get an Oathbreaker to fight with you, right? And so there's other ones, March of the Ents, which is more unique because it starts with a green, then there's reds in the middle, and then ends with a blue. Roll the Drum, all reds and a green. Tramp of Doom, 3 and 3, right? We talked about the full house, but with the additional color. And there's more unique ones. There's ones that I don't have it on this character, but I think it's called Hope of Men or Hope for Men or something like that. And this one's a little kind of fun, where it's green, yellow, red, yellow, green. So it's kind of like a mirror, right? So you start with green, you break the rule and go yellow, red. You don't do blue, and instead you repeat the pattern but backwards. So you go back to red, so you do red again, and then yellow, green. And so that gives your group a heal while also doing a bunch of damage. But then there's the reverse, where there's a blue one, which I think was Breath of the Wild, or Breath of Freedom. I think it was called Breath of Freedom. This one also gave you 2 Oathbreakers, and it was instead of greens, you did blue, and then you reversed the yellow and the red. So you did blue, red, yellow, red, blue, instead of green, yellow, red. So you switch the damaging ones. And that one also really fun. You just you're giving power to the group, which you don't really need these days, but then you also did a bunch of damage, AoE damage, and a dot with having 2 Oathbreakers. Super cool, super fun. Are these useful, though? This is now the question that we see a lot in World Chat, that I see in my comments and streams and stuff like that, of, are Fellowship maneuvers worth it? On paper, they're fine. At the level caps of the legendary servers at the 60, we're almost at 65 here in the next month or so. Doing like the all yellows that people just talk about doing because it's nice and easy. There's nothing wrong with doing that. It's a good amount of damage, and you're not going to lose the fight because of it. There was a point where I think it was after level 95 or level 100, somewhere in there, where the characters of, or like our characters, the players, the gear we were getting and the insane power of our legendary weapons at that point got to an extreme where doing no damage for those 2 to 3 seconds to pull off the Fellowship maneuver was actually a DPS loss, and the damage from the Fellowship Maneuver as a whole wasn't enough to make up for those 2 to 3 seconds that you weren't doing damage. So as a group, as a party, if a Fellowship Maneuver came up, it was a DPS gain to just ignore it. Ignore the Fellowship Maneuver, don't hit a color, just do damage, because the animation of sitting there waiting to do the combo, to do the animation, you would just lose out on damage. You could always go green, right? If you're in a raid and the party took a whole bunch of damage, and like, oh my god, we need heals quickly. You could get a burglar to pop down a Fellowship Maneuver, everyone go green, boom, 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 raid's healed kind of thing, and then you could keep going. That was always fine. But from a pure damage perspective, going all yellows was technically a loss. Now, that being said, a year or two ago, somewhere in there, they did a stat squish where our maximum morale got reduced, our maximum amount of damage got reduced, full stat squish to make numbers easier. That had the unintentional side effect of actually making Fellowship Maneuvers useful again, which was super cool. However, I think now back at 150 with the new raid, I don't know if it's technically worth it to do Fellowship Maneuvers anymore. At least not at the high end of rating, like tier 3 higher, tier 4 or higher. I think it's technically a DPS loss, but I could be wrong. I haven't done it myself. I don't have a geared enough for that at the moment. So I'm not 100% sure, but I think anything below that, once again, I don't think there's anything wrong with just going yellows. Just go yellow, go all red, do Hew the Stone for fun. It's not going to harm you, and it's not going to weaken you. It's not going to cost you the raid fight in any kind of scenario. They're still good in dungeons. They're still good in 3-mans. There's nothing wrong with that. They're fun to do, especially for you new players, right? Like this is such a unique mechanic that I feel like a lot of new players don't get to experience. So that was kind of why I also wanted to make this video, because these are just so cool, right? Getting to pull off all these fun combos that have silly names, like they're just fun. Especially these long straight ones. Thunder of the Oaken Shield, Wings of the Wind Lord. That's a great one. That one gives you 2 Oathbreakers, I think. Right? It's super fun. But I think so. Are they worth it? They're fine. They're not going to harm you. If you're doing high end content, they might not be worth it. But for small group play, for beginning raids on the legendary servers, they're still going to be fine for the next little bit. In fact, when the level cap reaches level 75 on the legendary servers, we're going to get a raid that you actually have to do Fellowship Maneuvers in order to kill the boss. There are specific ones that we need to do. I don't think I have them on this character, and that's okay. But I won't spoil it for the new players, but just there will be a boss that we encounter, and you have to perform specific Fellowship Maneuvers in order to kill the boss. Some people hate it. I personally enjoy it. It's the only fight in the entire game where you have to do it, and I think that's totally okay. It's a unique way to do a raid fight, and you don't have to do it that much. You're only doing it like 3 or 4 times or something like that. And then you can do the rest of the fight without needing to worry about it. And I think that's fun. I think that's kind of cool. It's a unique way to bring this fun mechanic that the game has into a raid scenario. Because otherwise like I said, half the time we just ignored it, or you're just going all yellows, and it's just, you just want to get it over with. So, yeah, I think that concludes the video. If there's something else that you want to discuss or want a video on, let me know in the comments. This is why this video was made, because it was in the comments. I think halfway through April, I'll do a little how to prepare for Mirkwood video for those on the legendary servers. But if there's something that you guys want to see, let me know. Leave a comment, leave a like. We're really close to 500 subscribers, so I really hope we can get there this year. I think we can, and I'm very thankful for you guys for doing this for me. This is like if I could hit 500 subscribers this year, it would be a dream come true. So thank you very much. I appreciate you all, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.